everybody. Good morning. This is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. Welcome back to my channel. I have a tutorial for you today that I think you're going to really like. And this is kind of an unexpected tutorial. I have so many things on my plate right now, but I kind of got distracted by something I found in my office. I was looking for something and found a file folder that I just instantly got this idea and I had to do it. So I want to share with you what I made it with, and this is a paper collection from Country Craft Creations, and then I'm going to show you a couple things on how to put it together if you want to go ahead and create one for yourself. So for this, I am using Midnight Potions. Now this came out in 2021, and it is available at Country Craft Creations. I'll put a link below, and this is an amazing kind of apothecary type paper collection that she came out with. Is just absolutely gorgeous with the purples and the browns. Is just beautiful. So I used this. I had this 8x8 paper pack that I purchased actually on my own. This was not part of a design team package that I had, but I did purchase it, but then I ended up not using it because, you know, there's so many things going on and I make so many other different things and I just hadn't got around to it. But then when the perfect project comes, I had it and I was ready and it was perfect. So you can go get this at Country Craft Creations. It's a beautiful, beautiful paper collection. It is available in 8x8 and 12x12. I used 8x8. And so what I ended up doing was I was looking in my office for something and I came across these file folders that I had. And I had made projects in the past with these just by simply covering them and then using them actually as a document folder for different things, keeping a whole bunch of different items from a same thing together. They have these great tines that you can punch holes at the top, put your papers in, they're divided, they're wonderful. Well, I had a couple of them left over, and so I just instantly got this idea. I thought it would be perfect. So I took one of these and I cut it down so that it is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. So I just literally, and you will need to have a heavy duty kind of X-Acto knife. I did use this guy here, which is my Fisker's X-Acto knife, and it's huge and it's big and it works really well. This chipboard in this file folder is pretty heavy. And then I have this ruler here by We Are Memory Keepers that has a stopper here that you can, you know, hold your paper down and keep things from not shifting when you're doing the cuts. So basically what I did was I measured where I wanted it, and then I, you know, put the ruler down where I needed it and then sliced. And when you do this, just be aware, you don't have to go through all the layers at the same time. As long as you keep good pressure on your ruler and you just kind of keep going until you get through all of the layers, it'll work out perfect. And that's how I cut it. So I cut a piece off here down at the bottom, and then I cut the tine pieces off at the top, and I did throw them away, but I'm going to possibly keep these and maybe incorporate them into another project for this folder. But that's basically what I did. You do need a heavy duty set of tools in order to take care of that. So once I got it cut at 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and the reason I did that is so it would fit my 8x8 papers, I ended up with basically a 4-page journal, because I kept all of the dividers that were on the inside. So let me go through, I'll show you what we did, or what I did, and then I'm going to show you a couple things on how to do it. Because of the nature of this folder, and let me show you on this one here, it does have kind of an accordion binding to it. So I use that in the actual sewing of the project. So in between here, in the valleys here, is where I sewed signatures. So in each section, and there's 3 sections total with the 2 dividers and the 2 covers, in each section I put a signature, one on each side of this mountain fold piece. And because of it being an accordion, it was able to kind of poof up to however I need it, and I can actually put more stuff in here. And then, like I said, I did pamphlet stitches. I inked the beeswaxed thread that I used to kind of make it look old and scraggly here. And I did leave the pieces because I kind of like the way that looked. On the cover, it's just literally an 8x8 piece of paper. I did round the corners, so I did do that. And then I had these little button pieces that I put on the corners. And I kept the cover really simple because I just thought that looked super classy. And I just love it. So the cover says The Medicine Lady. And down here in the writing here, it says 3 witches. I love it. So you know, this became a kind of like a spell book, I guess. And I'm going to be using this for part of my Halloween decor. It's really cute. And I have a lot of things in here I want to show you. So I did add another piece of the pattern paper here, and I left it plain because I really wanted to show off the picture. So I didn't cover it with pockets or anything, but you certainly could use clips or something like that and like paper clip things to it. And then I went through my stash. I had some, what is it? It was 11.5 by 17.5, I think, papers that I bought at my local office store. And so I just cut those down, but they made great signature pages, and they're very thick. They were like 32 pound. So I crinkled them up with my hands, and then I just ran my distress dauber over them to kind of age them a little bit. I had some ledger paper that was actually from an old Seven Gypsies album that I bought that I never used. So I took out a page of that, or a couple pages, and I used that throughout. So it has some writing spaces here, and one I put upside down, and I did that on purpose because I just kind of like the way it looked. And then a couple of them I put the other way, but that's what that is. I went through my stash. I raided my stash, and I got some stickers here that I had that I did put so that I could tuck a little note or something underneath there. And then these are images from a bunch of stuff my son gave me for Christmas last year. He gave me some junk journal ephemera that were kind of like Halloween-y themed, and so I used that. And then I don't know if you can see this really, really well, but in my stash I had this tape, and it's a cellophane tape, and I've had it for a long, long, long time. I've had it for years and years and years. It was by Vintage Street Market, and it's a linen tape. And if you can see it, it does look like linen. It looks like old tape. So I use that in a couple places throughout. Even though I did glue those down, I did put some tape on there so it looked like I taped it in as well. So I'll just kind of go through. This is a piece of ephemera from the paper collection. Here I made a pocket, and during this tutorial I'm going to show you how I made some pockets, or like envelope pockets that I created later on, and I'm going to put that in here. So that's why there's nothing in that pocket at this point. This is grocery sack paper that was super thin, so I decided to kind of reinforce the grocery sack papers a little bit by adding paper to make pockets. In here, another piece of the paper collection. And then this is a printable thing that I found off of Pinterest. So if you just go and search for like spell book printables and things like that, you can find printables off there. And again, those were all by Pinterest. And then I did print them on parchment paper that I had, and then crinkled them up with my hands again, and then ran my distress ink over so it looks really old and fun. So, and I just glued that on 3 sides, and I added some of that tape as well. And then this here is another piece of that brown paper bag that's very thin, but I reinforced it with a piece of the pattern paper from the collection on one side, and then over here were little die cuts, and then they had the little tags in the paper collection, so I put a couple tags in there. Here's the other piece of ledger, and this was from my stash. I just fussy cut that out of a piece of paper. Another printable that I got that was free, I just used a paper clip there to just clip that to that, but then I can go ahead and write on the back of that. More ephemera from my son, and this is a paper bag I had in my stash, and I just kind of thought it fit, so I went ahead and put that in there. But then again, it makes another pocket. And then in here, this is a piece of ephemera that my son gave me in the junk journal gift that he gave me, so I tossed that in there because I thought that was pretty cool. Here's a piece of other parchment paper that I got, and then a label from my stash, and I just added that so I can write on here. Die cut from the Midnight Potions paper, and then from my stash here. This paper actually ripped when I crunched it, so I used some of that tape to fix the rip, and I thought that was kind of a cool way to fix it and kind of tie it in. This was a die cut from the junk journal stuff my son gave me. And then over here, I had this glassine pocket from my stash, and then these I fussy cut out of papers from my stash, and then again, more printables that I found. Rules of the witch's home. Do not bring spirits into the house, please, unless they come in a bottle, which that was kind of cool. So I added that in here, magical herbs and their uses. And for the edges of a lot of these, I either used my tearing ruler, or I have the Tim Holtz decal paper trimmer that I used on some of these, and then I just inked up all the edges. So we're going to go through. I cut the bottom off the pocket here to make another pocket. I added a piece of my coffee dyed paper, and then there's another little printable thing that I found on Pinterest. And let's see here, I used the pattern paper, and this is one of the dividers on both sides. And then I added a clip, and then here's some of the cut aparts from the journal or the junk journal ephemera that my son gave me. I found this pin at my local store. It's a feather pin. I thought it was really cute. It's fairly skinny, so I decided to tuck that in my journal so then I can write in it as well. And it looked kind of cool, just kind of sticking out the top. I thought that was kind of fun. So I'm going to leave that guy in here. This is from the pattern paper collection from Country Craft Creations. And then I just did it on two sides, glued it down, and then put a couple of the extra little cut aparts in there for tags. Junk journal ephemera. On this page here, this is one of the really thin paper bags, and all I did was I took a piece of the pattern paper and I put it on one side, and then I folded it over to create a pocket, and then put another one of the printables here, and this one is a potions recipe card. So I just tucked that in there like so. This here was composition book paper that I have coffee dyed that I cut down to fit, and put that in here too. So I kind of like the lined, and again I crinkled it up. Or I didn't crinkle it up. This one is coffee dyed. Here is another one of the cut aparts. I just glued that one down. And then here in the inside, I added a label for my stash. Here, I made a pocket out of a piece of the pattern paper from the collection. And then I'm going to show you at the end of this walkthrough how to make these little envelopes. And I had these labels in my stash, and I just wanted to make kind of like, I was thinking like, you know, kind of like along the lines of seed packets, but poison packets. So they're just basic. I haven't put anything in the pockets, but this would be a nice place to like put some hidden journaling in, or, you know, anything else that you might want to find and add to this journal later. So I thought that was fun to do. So I put two of those in there. And then on the other side, I used one of the pattern papers to reinforce the back. And I love the image. I just think it's awesome. Here are some old journaling cards that I had from Seven Gypsies, like way back in the day. They were Halloween themed. So I just roughed up the edges, distressed them, inked them, and then I clipped that there with some clips. Another pocket here, and I didn't tell you, but on the inside of the other pocket, I just put a coffee dyed paper that I had in my stash so that you can have some hidden journaling. And then these are some tarot card pieces that I had from my stash in my Halloween goodies. Another fussy cut bunch of bottles here for poisons, and then ledger paper and stuff like that. So again, another printable, use the tape. Here's another one of those Seven Gypsies journaling cards. This is from the ephemera book, a printable. Here I took a piece of the pattern paper. I created a belly band and then a little stopper so that I could put a little printable in here. And then on the back here, another one of those little die cut pieces, little ephemera pieces, and two of the little tags. Here's a sticker that I used from the ephemera that my son gave me, and then one that was in my stash. Another divider. You can see this journal got huge. It got huge. Here's an herbs recipe card. Here's another journal card, and I picked some clips out of my paper collection. Here's another paper bag. This one's a little bit different. It was a little bit thicker, so I added some coffee dyed paper that I made. And then this one here was from the book that my son gave me, and I just created a little booklet out of that to go ahead and journal on. So I'm hoping this is giving you ideas, and I hope you're not bored. You can fast forward through this if you want. I cut the bottom off of here again. Oh, and then throughout, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, there was some rub-ons that I used as well from Tim Holtz, I believe. Here's another little booklet that I made using the ephemera from the book my son gave me, which I thought was fun. And then again, I just cut off the bottom of the bag to create another pocket. More ephemera, another printable here. From my stash here. Here's one of the paper bag pages. I put the pattern paper on it. I just love the colors, don't you? Created another pocket. Here's another one of those little, you know, poison packets, I guess you could call it. This is going to be a really cute Halloween journal. This is for sure. I just love it. Another one of the rub-ons here. And this was from the ephemera book that my son gave me, and I just put it right smack dab in the middle of the page because I kind of like that. Some more printables that I found from Pinterest, and here we go, another little pocket with the tags. And then back here, one of the little die cut pieces. Here's the inside of the back, and then here is the back of the journal. So this is huge. It's huge and holds a lot, and there's more that I can put in here. It still can expand quite a bit, but I like bulky journals, so this doesn't bother me that it's kind of gaping and all that. And then I do love the fact that I have my feather pin kind of sticking out. It's just really pretty. So let me show you a couple things on how I put it together, and then we'll go from there. So I showed you the tape that I used, which I thought was kind of fun. Let's talk about how to sew a signature into this. This is another one that I had cut up. This one measures 5.5 by 8.5. So I thought I would do something with this, but I'm going to definitely show you how I sewed the signature. So again, these folders have the 2 inside dividers and the covers, and then in between each is the accordion fold, and I sewed them into the valleys right here, and I left this one open so that, you know, we have some expansion here. So let me grab my mat, and then I'm also going to grab my foam piece that you can poke holes through, and then I've got my hole poking, and I've got a couple pages for an example for signatures, and then let me find, I've already got my waxed book signature thread that I got from a local craft store, and then my needle. So basically what I did was I'm laying my mat here so I can poke the holes, and I'm going to center my signature. Now signature is basically the pages that you're going to put in your book, and they can be, you know, like you saw, very eclectic and a bunch of different pages put together. They can be the same thing. It doesn't really matter. And I'm using what's called a simple pamphlet stitch, which is really easy to do. It's really super simple. So the other thing you'll need maybe are a couple clips, and then I like to use my ruler, and I find this is the simplest way to do it because then I can measure where I'm going to poke my holes. So I have that valley here where I'm going to sew this first signature, and what I'm going to want to do is make sure that the folds of my signature are really nice and tight. So what I did was I took my Tim Holtz ruler and I put it in there, and because my covers, I can use this to center, right? Because they're 8.5, so the center of it would be 4 1/4 on either side. So I can, my paper I cut at 8 1/4 tall. So you can see they're a little bit shorter than the actual cover. So I'm going to center that, and I'm going to push that right into that fold as tight as I can. And then I'm going to use my clips, and I'm going to try and clip my paper, and that should hold it pretty steady, okay? Now, if you want to use extra clips to kind of hold this back so it's not in your way, that's great too. But what I'm trying to do is get that crease in the crease where I want to sew, okay? So then I'm going to put my ruler back here, try to make sure nothing else is underneath there that I don't want sewn and poked. And then what I did on my journal was I took my pokey tool, and at center, right in that corner, I poke a hole, and then I went 2 inches, depending on the height of your paper. If you're going to use the same height, you can go further if you want. But because I had some shorter pages, I just went 2 inches from the center point and poke a hole, and then 2 inches on the other side from the center point, poke a hole. Okay, that's it. And then you take your thread. Now, if you want your strings on the outside, you will start sewing from the outside. If you want them on the inside, you start sewing from the inside. Okay, pretty simple. So with everything still clipped, what I'm going to do is, since I wanted my strings on the outside, I'm just going to go through that middle hole right there. and pull it through. And then I'm going to make sure I leave enough to tie. So make sure that you don't pull it all the way through, okay? Once you get it through the middle, then you're going to go, it doesn't matter if you go up or down, just go through one side, okay? So now you should have a loop, and then if you turn it over, you should have the tail in the middle, and you have this. So then you go all the way across into the next hole, okay? So when you pull that through, that's what you're going to have. So you'll have your tail, and then you'll have this long piece in between those outer holes. Go back to the inside. You should have your tail out here, and then go back through the middle, okay? So now your inside should look like this, where you have the 2 stitches, okay? And your outside will look like this. Now, you have to make sure that one tail is on either side of this middle string, okay? So I'm going to just take one of them and pull it through. So now you should have a piece that looks like this. So you have your 2 tails on either side of this kind of long stitch on the outside, okay? Once you have that, pull it really tight, okay? And you can put a lot of pressure on it, especially if your bindings and everything are pretty strong. So you want to pull it nice and tight, and then you're just going to tie a square knot, okay? 1 and then 2, okay? So your square knot, and that's it. Then you can trim this as long as you want, and then you have your nice little signature. So if you take your paper clips off and we open our book, we now have a 4-page signature, right, on this side of that mountain. And then I just repeated for all of those things. So 2, 4, 6 signatures total for this particular folder. There's 3 sections, and there will be 2 signatures per section. And you can do as many signatures as you want. I think, let me see how many I did, because I don't even remember now, because some of them I think had more than others, but this one had 1, 2, 3 pages for the signature, which makes 6 pages total. This one, 1, 2, let's see, yeah, that one had 3. So I think I did 3 things per each signature, okay? And then you have that mountain in between. So that's how I sewed it together. Hope that made sense, how to do that, but that's what I did. So if you want these on the outside, which is what I did, then you can just trim them off any way you want and you're done. If you want them on the inside, then you just do the process, but you start from the inside, so the tails start here, and then you can again trim them as much as you want or leave them long, however you want to do that. And that's what I did. So that's that part of the tutorial. Now the next thing I want to show you is the pockets. So I'm going to grab that. So for the pockets, I used 1 piece of pattern paper for each pocket, 8x8 piece of paper, and I put it in the scoreboard. And the first thing I did was score at 3 3/4 and then 7 1/2, and then I turned it clockwise. Okay, so turn it clockwise, and then score at 1/2 and 6 1/2. Okay, so I'll put that back here. You can take a screenshot or freeze it and jot notes down, but that's how I made it. So again, 8x8, score at 3 3/4, 7 1/2, and then turn it clockwise. Okay, score it at 1/2 and then 6 1/2. And then once I did that, I cut out this top portion straight. I cut off this piece, and then I angled it here, because this half tab here and this half tab here are going to be what glues your pocket together. And then I cut this part out. So I did miter the bottom tabs and I mitered the side tabs, okay? But I left the flap straight here and I went straight across here. So once you do that, you're going to end up with a piece, whoops, excuse me, that's upside down. And it's gonna look like this. So you can see I cut that part off, cut here, I mitered here and here, and then I cut that straight. Next thing I did was I grabbed a corner rounder and punched the flap. The top longest piece is going to be your flap. So I got that corner rounded, and then I grabbed a circle punch. This happens to be a 2-inch circle punch. It doesn't matter, whatever you want, but I wanted to put like a thumb notch in. And what I tried to do was where these pieces here line up, I was trying to kind of get them straight across like that. And I'm trying to eyeball it, kind of just center it. It doesn't have to be super perfect, especially with this one because it's a Halloween journal, right? You want it a little bit imperfect. Okay, so now I have the thumb notch. Okay, so then I'm going to fold, and you can use your scoring tool if you want, you know, your bone folder, and you can really crease it if you want. I found that just finger creasing this worked just fine. And then, oops, before you do that, grab your ink, and we're going to ink a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to ink this right here, all the edges that are going to show. Okay, so along those folds. Okay, and then around the flap. Okay, make sure you get in here really nicely. Okay, and that should do it. You can always ink once you're done too, to make sure that you got everything. And then we're just going to glue it together. Okay, super simple. So I'm going to put a little glue here, press that down. And then if you want to do the tape trick in here, you can totally do that too. I just didn't. Okay, so I'm putting glue on my tabs. I'm going to glue it on the inside because I wanted both sides to look really pristine and not have tabs. Okay. Okay, and then there's your pocket. So that's super simple to do, right? And then you can go back through, make sure you get everything nice and inked. I love that color of paper. It's just gorgeous. Okay, then you can fill it with all kinds of different secrets and recipes and all kinds of stuff. So then I got one of my other stickers, my little stickers that I want to put on the front. So just make sure, whoops, after you throw it, that your flap is at the top. And right? And then you do this, take your sticker piece off. Now I'm going to add a little bit of glue just to make sure, because a lot of times these stickers over time will come up. So this will just give me a little extra reinforcement. Use my art glitter glue. And then I'm just simply going to glue that down. So you can use any die cut. You know, go through your stash, see what you have. If you're like me, you have like a ton of stuff. And that's what I did. I went through my stash. I used a lot of the pattern paper. I think I used probably 2/3 of the pattern paper to make this and do all the things. So then we're going to go find that pocket that I told you I was going to put this in and put it in our pocket. So that's how I did it. So a fun journal to make, a fun journal. I'm going to have fun, you know, putting stuff in it. I think what I'm going to do is continue kind of the theme of a spell book kind of thing. And I'm going to find some things. I'm going to handwrite some stuff in here. And then I'm going to put it like in my kitchen, and I'm going to, you know, like have it so people, you know, can look at it. You know, it'll be a great decoration to go with other spell books that I've made. I got some fantastic ones. So when I get my Halloween display up, I will definitely post pictures and show you guys. But yeah, I can do all kinds of decorating, but I think for the most part, the base bones of this book, no pun intended, I guess, is done. And yeah, now I can just add to it, write things down as I find some really cute stuff. Pinterest is a gold mine for things. So yeah, go check it out. Go do some looking through your stash, and go to Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com and grab this paper collection, you guys. Midnight Potions is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the colors are fantastic. The images are amazing, and it's available. So go grab it. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. And I will see you again soon with more tutorials. I'll get back on track now that I got done being sidetracked with this, but I had to get this out of my head because it's just gorgeous. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay crafty, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.